I'm so old. I told him I was older than 285. He said, what you mean? I said, I'm older than 285. 285 didn't come into existence in 1969. I was on my way back from Vietnam in 1969.
Okay, like this, that's a special
if your lips hit that, you're going to be like, damn. That's pretty nice. There with his half a bottle. Hey, Jay, where you get this from, man? I-20 East and West was, 70-something? And then I was telling him about 75 and 85. We had a 2-lane highway, 1941. Went from Chattanooga all the way down to Valdosta. And now they trying to take Buckhead and annex Buckhead because the white folks, the Jews and stuff, moved all the money out here.
For sure.
I was going to Fifth Plaza in 1983.
You down. When I fall off it be a while I'm putting you down. When I fall off it be a while I'm putting you down. Putting you down. Putting you down. Putting you down.
Hey man, jerk. Welcome back to another episode of PYD on the podcast. You know what, man? It's the big fella, boss down big. Y'all already know who I'm in here with, my brother, my bro, my guys. Only one go, LJ Lee. We got a special guest in the building tonight, man. We talking about overseas pimping. I'm gonna let him go ahead and introduce yourself.
First and foremost, like to give you brothers a great salute for having us on tonight.
Set mic up a little bit. Right, mic up.
Hiya.
There you go.
Yeah, we'd like to give y'all a salute tonight for having us on. Atlanta born and bred. Dixie Hill, Allenville, you name it, been there, done that. And we sharing a little things and a little love tonight. So thank you for having us on tonight.
Sure, thank you for pulling up, man. Yes, sir. So you said Atlanta born and bred.
Yes, sir.
Grady baby?
No, I wasn't fortunate enough. You had to have money to be a Grady baby. But the history of the Grady is my mother went to Grady Cadet School. She was one of the first colored cadets back in the 40s and graduated from Grady 4 years and was a registered nurse. So she's one of the first graduating black classmates to come out of Grady in the 40s.
Hey, that's too hard. So being from Atlanta, we asked this question. I'm gonna bring this question back real quick to cause some controversy.
Come on with it.
Is Marietta considered Metro Atlanta?
No.
Hey, man.
So for all you Johnny-come-latelys, you transplant, if you're not a Fulton County meaning you went from east side to the west side, meaning that was the only place that we habitated. Auburn Avenue and Martin Luther King, which you know now was Hunter Street. They talk about Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Had nothing to do with Atlanta. We had Atlanta Life Insurance Company here that had over $100 million in insurance sales. Morris Brown's College, Morehouse College, Spelman College. This was the intelligentsia for black education in the South. All of your major corporations, your Fortune 500, wanted some, excuse my French, wanted some Spellbound and some Morehouse niggas. So you either went to Spelman or you went to Morehouse.
Okay.
Now we keeping it 100, we keep it real. Morris Brown was a parochial school, meaning that if you maintain a certain average, you could go to school, and A.F. Herndon, who was a millionaire,
Was that
insurance.
Oh, okay.
He has a building right now, for those that don't know. If you go to Little 5 Points, where the park is there, was there Central Park?
I think so.
Behind the Trust Company Bank, or one of the banks right there, he has a building back there, Atlanta Life. He was one of the first millionaires, multi-millionaires, and he owns a building on Auburn Avenue right now to this day. But you could go to Morris Brown with a B average free at that particular time. All the rest of the schools, state schools, all Benny State. Morris Brown, Savannah State, all Benny States. All of these were state schools that only subscribed to black students at that particular time.
Okay, shout out Savannah State. That's where I went. So you know we got to get some other Savannah State.
County.
Chatham County for sure. So you say Morris Brown, how you feel about them losing their accreditation and gaining it back?
Well, I'm gonna keep it 100. Here's the thing. Morris Brown, all your mega churches. At one time, we only had 2 mega churches here in Atlanta: Big Bethel and Wheat Street Baptist Church.
Damn, I just saw a billboard of Big Bethel. I ain't
Big
never heard
Bethel
of
is
that.
one of the old AME Church and African Methodist Episcopal Church. That's where it started out in Savannah, Georgia. Henry McNeil Turner.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
So we were church-bound people, but the mega churches then was, Big Bethel AME and Wheat Street Baptist Church on Auburn Avenue. They're still located there. The Wheat Street Tower was there. That was one of the first buildings that a church put up to house the elderly at that particular time. Big Bethel kind of fell under the guys. So here we come with the mega churches, all of your mega churches. And I don't want to step on nobody's foot, but we on the Truth Hour right now.
Sure.
Your AME church, African Methodist Episcopalian, and then you had the Seventh-day Adventists who came here, Berean Academy. Then you had what they call a mega churches, Creflo Dollar and Eddie Longstroke. So you had these guys come in with the mega churches. So all of the transplants of the people coming here were trying to get their praise and worship on. So we always thought that gathering of all of the people was where you were supposed to be. You know how we are. Mm-hmm. Okay. You know, we love to run to the situation, but then we are reactionary people. If something happens, we never go find it out. What happened? We always get it word of mouth.
For sure.
But the churches that are here now, Johnny come latelys. Now back to your question about Morris Brown. How is it that we as Atlantaites or Atlantean true Atlantans let a university that was primarily for us, by us, slip through our hands because of bad management, and now that church still, that college still exists, but Arthur Blanks bought what is called Lightning. Used to be from from Simpson Road all the way over to what you call now MLK. That whole area was a subdivision of ghetto. Mm. I started out over there as a young child, Lightning.
So what is that, like the Bluff, Vine City?
Mm-hmm, yep. No, that was the Bluff and Vine City. Well, Blind City, Griffin Street was some prominent places where people who were considered as shakers and makers of Atlanta. Okay. Those were your actual houses. The government projects, one of the first government projects that happened in Atlanta was Techwood Homes. Mm-hmm. But it was for white people only at that particular time. And then you had Grady Homes, you had Perry Homes, Herndon Homes, all of these, A.F. Herndon, they started naming homes. So that was the government projects during the 50s from the men that were coming back from the Korean War. Mm. We began to get, a little more quality way of life. But I can remember the time when the coal man used to come through the streets of Atlanta selling coal off the back of a wagon. I can remember the ice man coming through the streets of Atlanta chopping a block of ice off when you had an ice box. Mm. And you get a nickel piece, a quarter piece. And then at the same time, we didn't have no refrigeration. We had an ice box. So the refrigeration was something that came later. We used to have a number 3 bathtub that served as a washboard through the week. On the weekend, if you had a barbecue, you put your sodas in the wash tub, and you put a block of ice in there, and you brought all the company. But we were together people at that particular time because we stayed in our area. That was the segregation part about Atlanta. Peachtree Street and the areas that we're in as we speak today was null and void from us. But even though a lot of people don't know it, there's a black community that lives and thrives right here in Buckhead, was here long before. George Wallace, the comedian, lived where Lenox Square was at. Mm.
Okay.
Never knew that.
I was just going to say something.
But true, go ahead.
I was working with City of Atlanta. One of the parks I worked at, it was off Far Road. And we was talking to a lady. It was a cemetery. It was actually a cemetery with number of black veterans. Right. And she was like, actually, we built Buckhead and all that. They just came and moved us out. Mm-hmm. So when you said that, that was a memory in my head. I'm like, dang. I remember this lady telling me that like maybe 1 or 2 years ago when I was working with the City of Atlanta. So I rock with that.
The City of Atlanta has been a big facade. I've been here for over 70 years and still thriving. But as a people, we had our own. Auburn Avenue had the Royal Peacock, the 85. We had 5 theaters. But as you can understand, when the highway system came, it came right through straight through the ghettos. If you look at I-20, and when you're riding through Atlanta, from Kirkwood, Edgewood, all the way, it comes right through the heart of the black community and goes all the way out to Six Flags. I was a young man, used to throw rocks when they first started building Six Flags. Mm.
Was they, sorry to cut you off, were they supposed to make like $675 to go all the way out here or something like that? Wasn't another one of these highways, or 400, was supposed to go across the town?
Well, 400 was what's the Atlanta Beltway?
Okay.
When the presidential monies and stuff was given to southern areas and stuff that was metropolis cities. I remember back in the day, I can't name the year, but when Atlanta reached 1 million.
Population?
Population-wise.
Yeah.
And everybody had their million. Atlanta was a million person city at that particular time. Now, mind you, Delta was on the rise. I think Delta originated out of New Orleans. They came here. They had one big hangar. You could see the hangar with Delta on it. These are all archives. There's a lot of history about Atlanta that a lot of people have come here and they don't quite understand it. But we had our own thriving communities, east side and west side. There wasn't no north side, there wasn't no south side. You couldn't even go past Lee Street. The Dunkin' Donuts, they were Johnny come lately. Krispy Kreme, I was selling Krispy Kreme donuts when I was 5 years old. You got a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts for 50 cents. You paid 2 cent taxes.
Sheesh.
Taxes were 2 cents. Gas was 19 cents, 29 cents a gallon. That's how long I've been around.
Talking about some history.
History.
So-
History. You know?
So how you feel about the gentrification going on in the city now?
My take on the gentrification of Atlanta is that we have inherited a lot of outside people coming in with the intention of expanding Atlanta. That's why they call it Metro Atlanta now. You brought in your Clayton counties, your DeKalb counties. These were all separate counties. That's what I'm saying. Anybody that was born and raised in Atlanta, they was in Fulton County. You was either in a government home or some project somewhere. We didn't really start getting autonomy to the late 70s. I can recall in southwest Atlanta, when on Peyton Road, and which they call now Hamilton E. Holmes High Tower, there was a southwest Atlanta, which is Cascade and places like that. The white flight began in the 70s. When I came back home from Vietnam in 1968-69, they had put up roadblocks on Sundays when affluent black people here started getting money and wanted to better their living condition or have a quality way of life. They had a sign like you got a detour road closed. Now, these were white citizens that put this up and said that they didn't want no Negroes they called us Negroes at that particular time. They didn't want no Negroes coming by looking at their houses for sale at that particular time. Then all of a sudden, southwest Atlanta became predominantly black, and then the west side of Atlanta became predominantly black. And the white flight, everybody either went to DeKalb or Gwinnett County or counties in between. Newton County, Rockdale County, couldn't live there.
I can believe it to this day.
Alpharetta was a prison camp.
I can believe that to this day, too.
I went to see a friend of mine when I was a young lad, and his mother told me, say, I got to take them some food up there. They had a position up in Alpharetta at the chain gang. That's where they used to take you on the road and you work your way off. You didn't sit in the jail cells like they did now. You was on chain gangs. And they would take them up on Sundays when you had visitation. And I've been to Beaufort, Georgia, Hall County back in the days, and Alpharetta. But Alpharetta in the 60s, no black people stayed there. And they had a thing up there, if you didn't farm, you didn't eat. So all the colored prisoners, the inmates and stuff was shipped out before they had made the diagnostic center at Jackson, Georgia. They send you to the respective areas because police areas have always been overcrowded. When Atlanta was on Decatur Street. The Atlanta Police Department precinct was on Decatur Street until they built it. No, it was Decatur.
Yeah, Decatur.
Decatur Street. Now here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand too. Atlanta Police Department was on Decatur Street. The Butler Street YMCA that's connected to Grady, the Grady area there, and Auburn Avenue there, they had the YMCA there. Now, the colored police officers could not even dress at the Atlanta Police Department. They had locker rooms at the YMCA, and they would have to dress over there and go to formation back in those days. And that ain't been long ago. I remember that as a young man.
No, that's crazy to me.
But that's Atlanta.
So you said you blame the gentrification part as far as in like us bringing more folks in to expand. Do you put that up to the Southern hospitality that all of us Southerners have, or it was just an opportunity that we couldn't, you know what I'm saying, let go.
So I'm going to share something with you, and I want to hear your reaction on this. Do you know what the words WSB mean?
Nah.
That sounds like a radio. Would it be on the radio now?
Channel 2.
Okay, Channel 2.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. What it stand for?
SB, Welcome South Brothers. That's a code.
Okay.
PYD.
So we open arms with everybody at that particular time coming to Atlanta.
Did they see it as what it is now? Do you feel like they saw it already? They pre-visioned how Atlanta would be in today's life?
Yes, it was a Mecca.
Always, it always been a Mecca?
Yeah, we had the largest transportation system in here. You would have to go back and find pictures of the Atlanta, Atlanta terminal.
Okay, yeah, they got a museum
L&N
now.
Railroad, B&O, Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. All of them ran north and south. This was a connecting point. Birmingham was Birmingham. With nobody moving in Birmingham. And the other cities, in any direction, Atlanta can expand in 50 miles. Okay. New York is landlocked by water. California is the same way. Chicago is the same way. Stockyards and everything. But Atlanta has a radius. We said in the middle of Georgia, next to Macon. They say Macon is the middle part of Georgia. But Atlanta has a radius in all of these metro counties right now that you can expand 50 miles in any direction. That's why all of the transplants began to come here. And then not only that, we were entrepreneurs. One of the first, if I'm not mistaken, when Maynard Jackson became the first black mayor of Atlanta, John Marriott, Marriott Motor Inn was down on Cortland. That was the first motor inn that Atlanta had before they built the Regency Hyatt and places like that. So John Marriott started here. Coca-Cola was already in existence. North Avenue back on that side of town. But that's what I say, Techwood Homes would facilitate all of your poor whites that was working in that area. But in Atlanta, we had our own chicken joints. We had a cab company, Tiger Flower Cab Company, and the list goes on and on and on. But that's only because those who were true Atlanteans knew of this. Most people now, they can't even tell you what MLK was changed from. In every major city that you go to, that was an appeasement that the intelligentsia gave to us. You can go in Chicago, you can go to St. Louis, you go anywhere, you're going to always have a Martin Luther King.
For sure.
And Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, they both have a school.
They wasn't quite on Malcolm's program. Malcolm was...
Right. I mean, I think New York got it, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
MLK.
And this might offend some people. Harlem was a mecca for culture. Not only that, our jazz, our music, but all of your professional athletes and stuff came from rural counties like this. Birmingham Bears, baseball, Atlanta Black Crackers. We had all of our own Jackie Robinson stadiums, but most of those places have been eradicated now, and the history, unless they put it in the books, which they don't do, has been discarded. Atlanta has a lot of history here. Ezra Charles was a famous boxer. You had boxers here with champions and everything. Armstrong, I think he was from South Georgia, held 5 different titles at 5 different weights, from featherweight all the way to almost light heavy. Sugar Ray Robinson would come here on Auburn Avenue and get their hair fixed. Sam Cooke, all of it. James Brown coming out of Augusta, Macon, Georgia, South Carolina. They would always come to Little Richard, the father of rock and roll. They keep saying that Elvis Presley and all these guys, those the biggest bullshit in the world. Mm-hmm. Elvis Presley learned how to play a guitar from a black man and learned how to do the crossover, shaking his hips and gyrating. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. That was Big Maybell, Big Mama Thornton song. They took it and made it a crossover. So he began to get popular. And just to hear a white man stand up at that particular time and had that crossover sound, same way we got now, you know, everybody is disorientated music. That's what I call it. You get an instrument and somebody can do a voiceover, and next thing you know, you got a hit going on. You can do a digital copy in your basement and make a record. But these are just some of the things that we don't know. But Atlanta itself, even from Stone Mountain, the history of Stone Mountain, now people may question this, say that Stone Mountain was bought for $40 from a black man. But if you don't know that, it was a big rock.
I saw an interview that said it's like a piece of I can't
Granite.
granite. Right.
Granite is the largest granite rock.
They say the granite run from there all
All the way to Atlanta.
To
here,
here,
right.
from if you go
What
up
a
to
vibe.
Beaver Ruin
Dang.
and northeast
That's crazy.
Dahlonega used to be a gold spot back in the day in the 1800s. People
Well, that
came
ain't
here,
great.
poor white people came here looking for gold,
Mm.
and they sell in Dahlonega. All of these, Beaver Ruin, North Georgia up there, Jasper, Georgia. Now you go up there, and it's the same thing. These are primitive cavemen that come out of wherever they came from looking for gold and sell in these areas, because even with the history of Georgia itself, most of Georgia from King George from England was sent here to colonize Savannah, Georgia, Chatham County.
For sure.
And they let all the prisoners, if you married a woman for 1 year and cultivated the land down there and established Chatham County, you were given expungement on whatever crimes you had committed in Europe.
Wow.
And then another note where he was talking about how downtown Atlanta is, Atlanta used to be called Terminus.
Right. Marthasville, Terminus.
PYD. Never knew that.
But we had the largest terminal. We went north.
You got 5 points.
5 points. We went to all parts of the southeast, the southwest, the areas. You could go to New Orleans from Atlanta. You go to Nashville from Atlanta. You go to Birmingham. You could go to Chicago. You could go to North Carolina and all these places here. Plus, not only that, there was a big hub. When General Motors, at one time in Doraville, General Motors was here. All of your car companies was here. Your major airlines they come here. Eastern Airlines. Ron Reagan fired all of the pilots that went on strike because of the wages. White pilots went on strike, and they fired the whole pilots here in Atlanta, and that's when Delta went into prominence.
Okay.
And Eastern never recovered from the bankruptcy and the lawsuits and everything at that particular time. Big changeover in Atlanta.
How did he have the power to fire all the pilots though?
President, he mandated.
He bit
You
down.
come back to work, cut you off.
Hey man, that's powerful.
Delta thankful for it. Delta like,
Hey, and they turned all the way up.
Delta had
Delta
about
turned
30,000.
all the way up.
Delta had about 30,000.
And what year was this? It was like the 70s, 80s.
Eastern Airlines went under probably around, I'm not going to quote this, I would say late 70 when Reagan was in, I would say the latter part of 70, somewhere between 74 and 78. Maybe closer to 80 like you said. But they fired the whole.
That's crazy.
Their whole Delta's employee that was pilots that didn't report to work, called in with the blue flu and all that stuff. President Nixon them fired everybody. Ron Reagan was the same way. These were shrewd politicians, Republican politicians, that didn't want the South to rise like that again. Sherman burned Atlanta down all the way to Savannah when he came. The movie Gone with the Wind.
Okay, yeah.
The house of Margaret Mitchell, off of 10th Street. Most people ride through, don't even know about that. But Jonesboro Road was the road to Tara. The Gone with the Wind movie. That was actually a place, Tara Boulevard.
That's Tara Boulevard.
It's called
Never knew
Tara
that.
Boulevard. A lot of historical never. And then you had off Memorial Drive over here, you had the Confederate cemetery.
I could believe
Still
that.
here.
Oakland,
Memorial,
Oakland Cemetery.
Oakland Cemetery.
From 6 feet on.
Yeah. That's the Confederate cemetery. Westview Cemetery, when I was a child, wasn't no black people buried there. You couldn't be buried in
That's on MLK, ain't it? Westview?
Yeah.
MLK.
Westview. Yeah.
And then what the other one is, Lincoln.
Lincoln Cemetery.
Oh,
that was off
Jonesboro?
of Simpson Road.
No,
Since
what
Road?
the other one is over there on Jonesboro Road.
Yeah, that big ass
View
cemetery.
something.
Southview.
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 Okay.
That's where Martin Luther King was buried.
Martin Luther King was buried at Southview because
But
he
they
couldn't go
moved him.
into what you call
is
it?
that-
To the King's Son.
Okay, yeah.
King Center,
Right.
the rotunda.
They dug him up and moved him.
Yeah, they dug it up.
I never knew that.
But that was after
That's
Stevie
good enough for
Wonder.
sure.
That was after Stevie Wonder proclaimed for black people that we wanted Martin Luther King's birthday. So at first, like you was talking about,
Shout
Malcolm
out to
X,
Stevie
there was a
Wonder,
clash
man.
between Martin Luther King and King and Malcolm about the civil rights movement. He was saying that, in other words, we marching and begging people for the right to exist in these communities, in these different sectors of the country. But we died, fought, and everything. At one time, it was against people even allowing us to go into the military to fight. Now, I went to Vietnam in 1968, and my thing was, I was old enough to go to Vietnam, but I couldn't drink liquor in Georgia because I was 19 years old when I went to Vietnam. Came back a year later, at 20 years old, I couldn't even buy a beer. And if they caught me drinking beer on the streets, open can law and all these laws, lottering. That's what they called it back in the day, you lottering. And I got a beer in my hand and I'm standing outside a beer joint. We didn't even have facilities where we could go and sit down and, converse like you guys do nowadays. You can go anywhere in Atlanta you want to go. Wherever your money take you can go that way. But at one time, they had what they call speakeasies. On the west side, we had Pittsburgh. Everybody was selling bathtub gin. And if you was a hustler then, that was your choice. Corn liquor, a white lightning, what they made would bring it up. But they would even charge you for having that. So all the players at that particular time was doing corn liquor, playing blackjack. Coon was a game, shooting craps and stuff like that. You'd have an open parlor or something like that, rent parties and stuff. But this is something that we inherited. Now the young people come along and they talk about shooting craps. I finished high school my 12th grade year shooting craps.
So gambling been going on since
gambling been forever.
Did MLK hurt or harm the black community?
Absolutely.
I mean, did he help or harm the black community?
Are you saying Martin Luther King?
Martin Luther King, did he help or harm the black community?
This is my opinion.
Yes, sir. It's definitely your opinion.
My opinion. When we were segregated in Atlanta, we had our own. We had 5 theaters here, black-owned and operated. We had 3 radio stations here, black-owned and operated. When integration came in, to integrate means to mix in, but to segregate means to what? Separate. So as long as we were separated, we was able to do that. We had to be put in a situation where we had to do for ourselves. We had all the country people around here that were farmers, sharecroppers, whatever it was. So we had food. The farmers market used to be located on Sylvan Road. But a power move with all of these rebel governors and stuff we had, they moved it down to Perry, Georgia. But the Atlanta farmers market, Lakewood was the biggest venue in Atlanta. When Maynard Jackson ran for mayor, he brought Muhammad Ali in, and we had to go out to Lakewood Fairgrounds. That was the only venue that could hold. Other than that, on the west side, the biggest venue at that particular time was the Magnolia Ballroom, and then you had Herndon Stadium. Ray Charles recorded What I Say, parts 1 and 2, at Morris Brown Stadium that hold about 7,000 people. So that was the biggest venue for black people in Atlanta at that particular time. But you had one of the major clubs, the Royal Peacock, Billie Holiday, Nat King Cole, Sam Cooke, the list goes on and on and on. Otis Redding coming out of Macon, Georgia. James Brown, Little Richard and stuff. These were the matriarchs of the R&B, what y'all call rap right now. The blues and the gospel and everything came out of certain areas, but Atlanta was well known. Cab Calloway came through here. It's so many astute artists and stuff that came through here that lived here for a particular period of time. I can remember when the Milwaukee Braves brought Hank Aaron here. Hank Aaron lived on Martin Luther King Drive, by Chickamauga over there. So the thing between Malcolm said that a man can't ride your back as long as you've been over. But Martin Luther King was saying that we have to have a peaceful demonstration, which is nonviolent. Now, I'm not saying that we would have won any type of, war with the people who were suppressing us at that particular time. But when we came out of segregation into integration, I used to get on the bus as a young man, and we had a section, color section, from the back door of a MARTA bus, maybe 3 or 4 rows back, and that back seat was the only thing that would accommodate you on a long day at work doing domestic work, and your mother and your father got to ride the bus and stand up from one side of town to the other side of town.
And that's MARTA.
This was MARTA, moving Africans rapidly through Atlanta. That was the code name for that, MARTA.
If you ain't know, you know now.
WSB, Welcome South Brother.
And you ain't know, you know it now.
What that meant.
Okay.
But these are just some of the things. But in terms of Martin Luther King and Malcolm came to Atlanta a couple of times. W.E. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington was the same way. the great controversy was at one time we did all of the hand skills, the constructions and stuff like that. But Du Bois wanted us to study the humanities and stuff like that. So therein lies your Spelman and your Morehouse. Now, I know some people are going to be mad about that, but the truth is the light.
Oh, that's real.
And we stand on the truth tonight. You know?
The boys and Frederick Douglass, that was kind of at odds, kind of so.
That's what I'm saying. They had, Atlanta was even right then, it was bustling at the belt of the movement as far as which direction we was going to as a liberated people. Okay, so Du Bois wanted to say, hey, you know what? Let's learn the humanities. We need schools like Morehouse. We need Spelman, okay? And Booker T was saying, cast your boots down, your bucket down wherever you are. Let's give these brothers skills. We were carpenters. We did constructions. We did concrete, your brick masonry. All of these Masonic lodges and stuff like now, Prince Hall down on Auburn Avenue. We had all of that here in Atlanta. And that's what I'm saying. They talk about Tulsa and the Black Wall Street. Atlanta was a black mecca for anybody in the South. And in Atlanta, in Georgia, what we got, 200 counties?
Damn.
169.
Okay, 169. I stand to be correct.
We second outside of Texas.
With the most counties.
With the most counties.
Most counties.
Damn, I never knew that.
We're the second most counties in the
most
United
counties.
States of America.
And so the money that flowed from the carpetbaggers when we made Cotton King here, this is what Malcolm was saying, you know what I'm saying? We didn't take none of the money and put it back into ourselves. Tuskegee University was where Booker T. Washington was residing at, or did his tenure there. Du Bois was an accomplished, theologian. And then you had other people like Henry McNeil Turner, the first African Methodist Episcopalian church and all of that came out of Savannah. But that was one of the first colleges that was here. The city of Atlanta was probably the least of all of the capitals of Georgia. Milledgeville was the capital of Georgia one time.
I've heard that. I've heard that
Augusta
before.
was the capital.
I never knew that,
Athens
but I
was the
heard
capital.
Milledgeville.
Wherever cotton was made, whichever county picked the most cotton, that's where they put the capital at. This was Marthansville, and like he was saying, Terminal, Georgia, and Jonesboro, and all these other places. But these are things that, like I say, the history books are not going to tell you that. Whenever you sit in the presence of someone like myself, and I'm not a historian like that, but I paid attention to the history when I was in school a lot, geography and everything. But all of these things took place right up under our nose, and a lot of it has been suppressed. Why is it being suppressed? It's something they think that we're going to do. As they say, we think that we're going to get revenge on them. We are very untogether people as we speak today. I don't like you because you're blue. I don't like you because you're red. What is that all about? That's nonsense. Think of what we could have did if we had a dedicated ourselves to education. Your first heart surgery. All of that took place by black men and black women. You've seen the movie where the women calculated where the rocket ship was supposed to came back in and all of that, but then they suppressed all of that. So how many other things did they suppress it? It was almost illegal for a black man to have a title or a pattern. So you didn't have nothing, you know what I'm saying, no records.
Legally.
You know what I'm saying? Do you think Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin for us to pick more cotton, to keep our hands from getting all torn by the nails and everything? And then at the end of the day, if you didn't pick a certain amount of cotton, you had to go see the master. Sun up to sundown, 16 hours. And you're going to get 4 hours of sleep after you go home and put your family together? But now look at the family structure. We got 71% of our women divorced. They don't want no man. Maynard Jackson opened up, and we live now, opened up to the gay community. And they had a first gay parade in Piedmont Park.
So that's why Midtown,
gay
capital.
The influx came from San Francisco, New York, and any other place. You could twist it all the way through Atlanta now. It was open city. So we respect that.
We gotta respect it, man.
As long as we respect one another, we have no problem with people being bisexual or whatever they want to call it. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of Atlanta, we are not the gay capital of the world.
No, for sure not.
But everybody writes us off because a few of our brethren confused about their agenda. A few of our sisters are confused about their agenda in terms of that. But I'm speaking the truth.
That's crazy, man. So, hey, man, we ain't gonna get into too much more of this Atlanta history. We can, though, but I want to get on this cigar history. I want to get on this cigar for sure.
Well,
I want to get on this cigar history.
It's brief, but here's the take on the cigar history. I was here in Atlanta about 3 years ago, and I was confronted by a young man that asked me a question. He said, "My brother," he said, "where you at?" I said, "I'm in the Dominican Republic." He said, "Oh, you in the Dominican Republic? Man, you where all the cigars at?" I said, "No, my understanding was all the cigars was in Cuba." He said, no, my man, they go cigars in the Dominican Republic. I said, when I go back, I'll check on it for you, you know. I'm not a cigar smoker like that.
Okay.
So anyway, I go back to the Dominican, and I messed around with some guys. I said, you know what? I say, one of my friends asked me about cigars. Can I get some cigars? They say, well, there's certain places they grow cigars. I said, really? They say, yeah. They say, you go there, and maybe they'll give you cigars. Well, Dominicans are just like everybody else. All brown ain't down, and all skin ain't kin, you know.
Okay.
So they knowing that I'm a...
Puttinyadown.
They were like, no, my friend, no amigo, no cigaros. You know, we don't have.
For sure.
I'm saying, you lying in my face, you pissing in my face and telling me it's raining. I know you got cigars
For
here.
sure.
So I had to crack the code. So I started out about 2 years ago looking for some type of inroad to the cigar cartel. And I met some Italian people. I met some people. These are the major players there. So then I did an intense study about cigars itself. Cigars have been here since the 1400s and beyond.
Sheesh.
The Aztec Indians as well as the Mayan Indians used cigars for a medicinal purposes, for ceremonial purposes, and for celebration. So when the conquistadors came from Spain and those places to colonize your Caribbean islands and everything, all of them was by indigenous people. But as you know what a colonizer does, they kill up all the strong people.
For sure.
And they take the women and they begin to miscegenate the race. And before you know it, you got all the mulattoes and you got everything else, people of different complexes, different colors. So back to the cigars. When I started to infer and inquiring about the cigars, I met a brother that had been rolling cigars for about 36 years.
Sheesh.
And I asked him, now he worked for one of the biggest rum companies in the Dominican Republic. If you've ever been to Dominican Republic, there's a Brugal. Well, the history of Brugal was during the 60s, when I was a young man, they put an embargo, John F. Kennedy. And anybody know about John F. Kennedy, Miami used to be the playground, Havana used to be the playground for all the rich people that had money in Miami. You're 90 miles from Havana, Cuba. How can that be that you're 90 miles from America and you're not considered as being an American citizen, but America has a base on a part of Cuba that they've never relinquished since the 60s. But they put an embargo on it not to do business with any more people from Cuba. Cuba was cut off from the rest of the world, meaning that Fidel Castro was a dictator according to history. Che Guevara, like we had Toussaint Louverture. I'm in the Dominican Republic. You can go and look at the Dessalines, Boukman, Henry Christophe that liberated the Haitian. The Haitian people are the only people of our color and our hue that liberated themselves on this side of the world. But you know what happened? The French still holds the dominance over them, and they just paid off their war debt probably 5 years ago.
The Haitian Revolution, right? That what you talking about?
Huh? The Haitian Revolution. That's the only recorded history that they defeated Napoleon not once but twice. And here's the thing that I learned when I went to Haiti. The incursion that he did, they never even got past the beach.
Oh, so they were terrorizing.
They don't even talk about the castle, the citadel. It's one of the 8 wonders of the world. It's an impenetrable castle. It's built on the top of a mountain in Cape Haitian. You can overlook, just like the area we in, if you was up on the 50th floor of the Western Hotel, and you can look in either direction and see what the scope of Atlanta was. You could see the enemy coming up any kind of way. But they were smart enough and had tactical skills that they put troops in the jungles, 12,000 troops. They lived off of 1 banana and 1 bottle of water a day when they thought that the French were coming over to penetrate their land and take their land back from them. But they had went into a revolt and began to liberate themselves. So when Napoleon came the first time, he was thwarted and sent back. He was the little guy. Do you really know the story about the Three Musketeers?
PYD put us down.
Okay, the Three Musketeers was Henry Christophe, the Black Lion, Alexander Dumas. If you get an opportunity, pull that name up, Alexander Dumas. He was a general that was a mulatto that was sent from Haiti to France and learned how to do the swords. He was the top swordsman in France. He rose through the rank of the French military and began to defeat all of their top swordsmen. But Napoleon didn't want him in his midst, so they sent him off on these bizarre invasions that knew that he was going to be killed, but he was victorious all alone. Now, when his son and his mother was sent into back to France, they were given a stifling, but his father and stuff, Alexander Dumas, never received his glory as being a greater warrior than Napoleon. So all we do is we see about Napoleon Bonaparte. But Alexander Dumas, pull it up tonight and read the story of him. And he was the originator. His son wrote the thing, The Three Musketeers, and also The Count of Monte Cristo.
Okay. I know I heard that name for, I was watching Django.
Yeah.
And that name came up in Django, Alexander Dumas. So I kind of knew.
So they dropped pearls in there, but one thing
Little
about
gems.
our people, and this was taught to me as a young man, if you ever want to hide the truth from a black man, put it in a book. Because we don't read.
So
You don't read.
We
It'll be
don't
right there in
read.
your face. And they'll put something on the screen like The Matrix. Do you know you can go and see a copy of The Matrix, I think came out in 1950 something. And it's in black and white. And YouTube, it's on YouTube right now.
I got to.
These are gems and stuff that, we pass by every day, not even consider it. You don't even consider what happened to your forefathers and your parents. We all standing on somebody's shoulders. I'm 7 generations here, 7 decades, 7.5 decades I've been living.
A blessing.
And it's a blessing in itself, and have my focal point in my mind. I miss some things from time to time. But these streets of Atlanta, I done run these streets since the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. And then I went to the Dominican 10 years ago. I done kind of got away from the cigars, but anyway, this was what happened in the Haitian Revolution. Okay, when they did the embargo with the Cuba, they cut off all relations and ties in terms of e-commerce. Cuba was known for coffee, cigarettes, the rummer, the dances, the rum and everything, because everybody could go 90 miles away on a ferry boat, and you arrived in Cuba. So that was a playground for everybody. All the cars and stuff in Cuba right now, in the 50s and the 60s, are still there, with no communication with nobody in America. You can't even send $200 to your family members in Cuba. To this day, they just pulled a Biden. I think Obama went back in his tenure and said, "Hey, listen, we're gonna have some dialogue with what's called. Even if you and I have a beef, ain't it possible that one of our friends could say, hey, man, y'all need to go ahead and squash this. Let's sit down and communicate." Cat Williams came and said that all lies will be exposed. So anybody that's a liar that lied on you and everything, if you get a chance to confront him, man, why you say this about me and you know that ain't the truth? Well, I just made that up. But you put that out, once it leaves your mouth into the universe, you can't take it back.
You cannot take that one back.
You can't take it back. But back to the cigars again. So once they did the embargo on Cuba and shut everything down, John Kennedy was a cigar smoker. He ordered 1,000 boxes of Cuban cigars, which was the Cohiba, which Castro and them used to smoke. This is one of the most popular cigars in the world, the Cohiba cigars. So that in turn, when everybody was a cigar maker and stuff like that, they had to leave. So the DNA with a cigar is this. Whatever the seed is, just like the man, your sperm, whatever you can go. Tiger Woods said he didn't know what he was. He was a cobbler nation. No, he wasn't. His dad married a woman from Thailand, and so he was a black Taiwanese, whichever way he was. But Earl was 100% his father. Whatever Earl is what you are.
For sure.
That's where your DNA is. You can track it back. You know what I'm saying? If you married a baboon, then you got you the father of whatever. You know what I'm saying? But the DNA was like that. So these guys came out of Cuba, and the next place that they was able to receive some autonomy or some place where they could continue on was Dominican Republic. So all of the tobacco began to be brought from Cuba to the Dominican Republic. What we've done is we've got inside with some growers who have anywhere between 40 and 60 years experience of growing tobacco. And they had some of the original seeds, some of the original DNA. So when I inquired about it, some of these guys was a little, strapped for cash. And so we always say you can get more with sugar than you can with the other stuff. So I put a little sugar in the game. And I was awarded some seeds. And I said, okay, what am I going to do with these seeds? But the area that I live in, the Dominican, they've been growing cows there for almost hundreds of years. That land is fertile. Cows eat grass, hundreds and hundreds of pounds, and they go back in and recycle it back into the earth. So the soil itself in Dominican, anything that you throw on the ground is going to come back. So they were telling me more or less that you can't grow tobacco in this area. It's just a valley region, the mountains and the water. But I live in an area where there's a river that comes from the mountains and all these other places. So I started on that journey trying to find out the best way to grow tobacco. I had a few stumbles here and there, but my nephew came to my rescue and said, I got your back, Unc. So we moved forward. We did a thing with 3 Kings about 2022. We started off. I grew tobacco for 6 months. Tobacco plant is like a weed. It's wild. If you give it proper nutrients, it'll grow anywhere from a mustard seed up to 6 to 7 feet tall. And it'll supply you with 30 leaves. Now, the leaves on the cigars are used to make what is called a pleasurable experience that most people smoke. But if you don't have people that have proper knowledge of how to put the cigar again, you can take some crabgrass and throw it in there. Because everybody now is flossing but with a cigar in their mouth, a brim on their head, and they swab in all over Atlanta like they're real cigar aficionados, but they're not aficionados. We are aficionados. We are officially the cigar kings,
Down.
and that's why we call ourselves the 3 Kings. And we salute anybody that's a cigar smoker, but until you know what goes into your cigar, you at bay to anybody to tell you. And most of our people now, they are reactionary people. I'm going to the cigar bar tonight. Well, what kind of cigar do you want? They don't know. But we do full body cigar, meaning that if you're going to smoke a cigar, we're going to give you the full impact of a cigar. And it takes 3 years to make a cigar.
One cigar.
One cigar. A premium cigar.
PYD.
Now, we have tobacco that is 6 and 8 years old. So once again, I'm issuing a challenge to anybody in Atlanta. Whatever cigar that you say that you have, and I don't care what you pay for it, we got $1,000 bounty that if you bring your cigar and we can't duplicate it or can't bring one better, you can collect $1,000.
Hey, man. Y'all hear that first, man. PYD.
If it's Nicaraguan, if it's Cuban, if it's Dominican, if it's Mexican, Honduras, if it's Bolivian, we got all of that.
Right here.
3
Right
Kings.
here. Right here. 3 Kings.
And you heard it first on y'all's podcast.
Hey, PYD.
So what's the top 3 cigars?
Well, that's a matter of opinion, but
Okay.
Cohiba, Monte Cristo, and then you've got some other cigar, Davidoff.
Okay.
It might not be in that respective order because everybody, if a guy smokes a $2 cigar, like we was, when my nephew came to the Dominican and we rode past the Swisher Sweet plant, he was like, what is that? I said, that's Swisher Sweet. They got a block of warehouses where all the blunt smokers and everybody smoking the Black and Mild is making some Europeans straight up billionaires. They were building 2 new warehouses when I was on my way here. But that Swisher Sweet is what we made because we blunt smokers and whatever else,
For sure.
And most of us just tear them apart to get the tobacco leaf to roll or whatever we doing in that particular area there.
We got something for y'all. We gonna come with them 3 King natural leaves, like the grubber leaf. We gonna have them.
Yeah.
Puttinyadown.
They got them for $8. We gonna have them for $5, so you can say $3.
Hey, how many come in the pack?
We building a brand.
Grubber leaf.
Oh, the grab.
The whole joint.
thing,
The whole
thing.
leaf.
big
The whole
one.
leaf. Yeah. The whole leaf.
You talking about
The whole leaf. Yeah, we gonna give
Look,
you the whole
I'm
leaf.
thinking about the leaves.
Nah, yeah, we
Swisher
got
to
leaves.
roll up?
Yeah.
Nah, the whole joint.
thing,
You go
the
crumble
whole
it
joint,
down.
Hey, man.
That's hard.
Y'all better tap in now.
Trying to tell you.
No, gotta cut this.
All my people that I've been trying to tap in with, you ain't want to tap in, I'm going to charge you more. When my name get on out here and the product get to moving, I'm gonna charge you more.
Puttinyadown.
Like my uncle say, we got the best tobacco in Atlanta, in the U.S.
Right now. Right now.
Look
That's
at
why I say
look at the packaging. First of all, can we just give a zoom in on the package right here? Shout out to G-Dot for the zoom in. Hey,
Boy,
man,
got the
this
suitcase.
that's luxury. You already know they coming like this. They gotta be good smoke. They gotta be good smoke, and they got the brand on the top. 3Kings.
And most of our rappers are either 40 years experience, so you're gonna get a quality cigar. Now, all brown ain't down and all skin ain't kin. So we tell you straight from the horse's mouth. We hear from the ATL. They already got a cigar called the ATL, but it's being put together in the Dominican Republic. The Chinese are in Cuba right now trying to revitalize that strand of tobacco. But like your DNA, wherever you go, you carry that DNA with you. If you went from here to Alaska and met an Eskimo, then you know what? That's your same DNA.
Yes, sir.
So we have a variety of seeds that are 100% organic, and we do it right. But when we hit Atlanta, we're gonna be just like Sherman. We coming from Atlanta to Savannah. We burning all the way.
What would you say the mecca of cigars is in the United States, though? You think Atlanta is a big place for y'all to brand at, or somewhere else?
Well, Atlanta to me is an entrepreneurial capital.
For sure.
If you got an idea and you get rid of all the dream killers that's around you, just like what you guys are doing right now. I'm sitting here thinking, because you the first don't mean you the best. I'm thinking about a podcast right now, Uncle and Nephew.
Hey,
Understand what I'm saying?
man, yes,
we
sir.
piggyback on what you guys doing.
Right.
But here's the thing. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single footstep. If you don't know where you're going, any road to get you. You can get lost sometime and get found along the way.
That might have went over.
Atlanta, everybody here is flossing. We got all the luxury here now. They living in every community that you can think of. Your money is the only thing that separates you in Atlanta. The have and the have-nots. So if you got Alpharetta money, you got Buckhead money, we got people all up and down here now. Well, the time is just like sprinkling some salt and some pepper together. You didn't see it like that. You see some of us show up, but we had to be of affluence. But now we got lawyers. We got people from all sectors of life. We got educated people. And it's just a pleasurable experience. I'm 76 years old, but I haven't smoked a cigar since I was 5 years old. And I got smoking a Tampa Nugget, a $5 cigar back in the day.
Hold on, I don't think I heard that clearly.
Wait.
You say you ain't smoked a cigar since you were 5 years old.
Absolutely.
But he's a cigar entrepreneur.
I'm an official.
Hey,
Official
hold on,
now.
wait. Never get high on your own supply.
Oh, can we
Thank
get a
you.
bomb on that?
Thank
Like,
you.
PYDcast. That's hard. No, for sure. That's hard, though.
I can believe.
I test all our products.
Hey, son.
He's the official 3Kings tester right now. You know? We grooming a couple of other guys there, you know. But the key to anything is primarily knowing exactly what you're inducing into your body or your temple, even some food. Now, everybody's grandmama can't make potato salad. I seen some soupy potato salad. I seen some runny potato salad.
Some raisin potato
I
salad.
seen some raisins, apples, and walnuts in it. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, it's all good if that's something that your family did. I used to think that my mother was the best fried chicken person in Atlanta. But I go to your house, your mama might not use flour. She might put some cornmeal on a chicken, you know. I've seen people cook chicken with cornmeal. And you know how we do with that barnyard pimp. You don't stand a chance. But the chicken has been a staple in the black community forever. It's just like Dave Chappelle say, what type of person now don't like watermelon and chicken? I'm waiting for some watermelon right now. You know?
Right now.
A Vidalia onion. If you haven't had a Vidalia onion, you're missing out on something, man. And they only come through a certain season here in Georgia. They done took that onion all over the world, trying to reproduce that onion. And
Say the name again, please.
Vidalia.
Vidalia onion.
Vidalia onion. Go out and get you
You
one.
never seen that, Lee?
Nah, I'm going to have to go see what that's
Sweet as
talking
a
about.
apple.
I know the Vidalia
Okay.
and the yellow onion.
Sweet?
Yeah. Sweet
Or
Okay.
the sweet onion.
Sweet as apple. You bite it like an apple.
Like an apple, okay.
Yeah.
Them bites of the onion ring, them bites the
Yeah.
onion.
Oh,
Okay.
man. Off the chart. Make you
Okay.
slap your mama's face.
Okay, so we done got into the cigars a little bit. Let's
Yes,
get into
sir.
the drink. What's going on with the drinks?
Well, Mama
Tell us
Wana
about that.
is a aphrodisiac that the native Indians, the Kuna
I get a
Indians and all
swig
the
of that?
Indians
That
in the
thing about
Caribbean islands began to put together for their strong men after they went out and hunted and brought back the spoils. Mama Wana is a aphrodisiac, but it's also a pleasurable experience of wood, spices, and stuff that, go together. And you talking about something that's for men and women, but it's a pleasurable drink with not a whole lot of alcohol content in it. But I've used it on several occasions at my tender age of 75 and had a smile on my face, at the end of the affair. But it's a good thing other than liquid Viagra. Okay. All the brothers out there. But it's also a pleasurable drink. Sometimes, like, you want to chill out with some of your friends, but we usually drink it in shots down there.
Yeah. We got our own wine too.
We got wines.
We got
Chinola.
3King wine.
We got a rum. We got a spiced rum, Ogun spiced rum. And we're trying to do not just here in Atlanta. We're on a global mission.
For sure. Y'all already global.
Yeah, we global as we speak, but we're trying to expand. Mm-hmm. And just like BMF, they put a sign. I thought about putting a sign up on the 3 Kings.
Hey, that's hard.
And that's what I'm saying, because they did it first don't mean they was the best to do it. When I used to ride by the sign, I'm like, what BMF, what is that? And one night I'm with some brothers that were celebrating me at Dugan's, and I see these guys pull up in Ferraris and all that stuff, and I said, who are them brothers there, man? And they said, oh, that Big Meech and his crew now. I said, what? I said, what they do? Green on the scene, you know what I'm saying? OG style. So I'm sitting there, and they was celebrating me, wings and everything, and these brothers walk in and go behind the bar with the rope, and they section off, and then they start popping tops and bringing cases of, beer and stuff in there. They got their own private sector. And when I found out about them, I knew what the sign was. Black Mafia family was taking over Atlanta. Transplants. But I'm strictly Atlanta born and Atlanta raised. Sidewalks of Atlanta. And kick corners and rocks all over this place. So why not launch 3 Kings out of Atlanta?
Out of Atlanta, for sure.
Remember that name, because we coming. As Dion say, we coming.
And we also got 3 King import export.
Yes.
So if you need something shipped globally, holler at us.
For sure.
We got you.
Chocolate, sugar, rice, coffee.
Tobacco.
All of that, tobacco.
You need it, we got it.
And at some point in time, like I say, we want to leave some generational wealth where we'll be able to fund places like your brothers and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
Podcast, because you gave us a play. So once again, shout out to you brothers for having us on. And we really appreciate y'all for just having a conversation with us,
So I see 3 King. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, now I was just gonna say a quick little comment. Mm-hmm. You reminded me of Dick Gregory a little bit. You know what I'm saying? How all the knowledge and all this.
That's a good comparison, though.
Now listen to this. Here's another thing. Dick Gregory weighed 280 pounds.
Sheesh.
Once upon a time. He was drinking a fifth of vodka before he went on stage every night.
Oh, yeah, he was a comedian.
280 pounds to what he looked like now is crazy.
But he also invented a diet back in the day. It was called the Bohemian diet. Okay. And it had every nutritional vitamin that all of our people needed for us to maintain. But as the powers that be, he succumbed and sold out, like Famous Amos, all these other guys. Now, we're not trying to be better than, we are greater than.
PYD.
PuttinYa Down.
Show.
True foul.
So we just letting everybody know that, hey, we coming, and we coming with a magnitude of, we ain't asking nobody to be, buddy with us. We're going to give you a quality product for a quality price, and we do it from seed to cigar.
Down. When I fall off, it be a while I'm putting you down. When I fall off, it be a while I'm putting you down. Putting you down. Putting you down. Putting you down.